Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
In episode 412, Eugenia Oganova discusses with us how to use soul design to scale our business.
Yeah, and this is part of what I teach my clients is to not sign clients like that. So to recognize certain signs, and the more and more the marketing is adjusted to how we sort of implement components of their natural flavor into the words, into the energy and how they speak, they literally stop attracting the people that you're describing that are kind of crunchy to work with. So energetically, we literally look at okay, what is the ideal client? What is not ideal client? And then instead of okay, what do you do if you get a non-ideal client? We'll look into what can we say to repel a non-ideal client? So we go actually further than just okay, well, this person doesn't fit or I don't like them, so I'm not going to sign them. We go into
Talking with the Experts.
Hi, I'm Rose Davidson from Talking with the Experts. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Global Glamping Charities for their valued support. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org. Do you love your podcast and dislike the editing and uploading to the various platforms? Would you like to spend this time with your family and friends or work on your business? Podcast editing doesn't have to be a chore. Talking with the Experts partners with podcasters who need help with audio and content editing. If you'd like to know more, contact me, Rose Davidson, using the link showing now, or send me a private message. Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Now, my next guest is Eugenia Oganova. And she is from, she's going to be talking with us about soul design to scale your business. A soul-aligned marketing based on one's soul expertise, wealth, energetics, quantum non-linear creation, and unique natural rhythms. Wow, that's a mouthful. And I'm really looking forward to learning about all of those things. Now, Eugenia is a business strategist, a transition mentor and quantum messaging energetics coach who has over 20 years experience. She's a self-made millionaire and a best-selling author of 3 books. She has been featured in over 100 networks and publications. So Eugenia specialized in activating soul design, profit potential, and wealth energetics to help conscious leaders and coaches sustainably scale into multiple 6 and 7 figures without forcing themselves to work harder. So, Eugenia, I am looking forward to learning everything that you've got to offer us today, because it sounds absolutely intriguing. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, Rose.
Tell me, how did you get into soul design?
It is something that I invented because my life circumstances naturally led me to live my life in alignment with my own design. And over time, I learned to understand that about others. I was born clairvoyant, so that means I see energy, timelines, and possibilities and things like that. And I've been working with clients my entire life, one way or another, helping them with understanding the meaning of their life, the meaning of the lessons in their life, the purpose of why they're here and what they meant to do. And a lot of my clients were business owners. So over time, myself, I've had many, many businesses that were successful. And I've noticed that I align what I do to what I understand in wealth energetics and in my own design, and it works well, but then other people don't necessarily understand their own system or their own rhythm, and then it doesn't work, even though they seem to be doing all the correct things from just pure business standpoint. So learning business and understanding more about that kind of over time led me to becoming a business strategist and marketing coach, but with a twist. I use my clairvoyant ability to help my clients understand their unique natural way of what they're meant to do, how they meant to do it, and where is it all going, in a way that they're not just having a profitable business, but a business that is fully aligned with their values, fully aligned with the internal desire. So there's joy, so there's pleasure of being in their business instead of a hard work and just kind of drudgery, and that it's much more focused on service than on just making money. Of course, every business should make money. That's the whole point of having a business. But in my understanding is that if it's not of service, it's not going to really be scalable. And I worked with people who were just starting businesses. I work with people who are at 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, and more. And at every stage, there's slightly different issues, but the overall pattern is still that soul design, as in kind of understanding of how you are made and what you're meant to do, seems to be one way or another the key. So if you're asking me sort of what soul design is, since it's kind of my own term.
That was my next question. Is soul design like human design?
Not really. I mean, human design is somebody else's system that just exists, but there are many other systems. So what I do is I utilize my clairvoyant ability, my insight, my wisdom. I utilize multidimensional energies and quantum field, so physics as well. I work with Akashic records and transformational psychology, and then I blend into that I Ching, human design, wealth energetics, so understanding of the chakras and how the energy system meant to work in your business, gene keys, archetypes, and many other things. So it's sort of a blend of specific factors that are needed for a specific person. I wouldn't be using all of those things for every single person, but depending on when somebody comes in and what they need, that's what they're going to get from me in application to their business. Plus, of course, business strategy and marketing and messaging.
So how does it work, and how does it actually align with you know, how does your soul align with the marketing, or how can they be married together?
Well, most people run their businesses based on the skills that they have learned. And what I found is that this is the road to misery and eventually burnout. What, from my understanding, works and what I teach my clients is that there is such a thing as innate expertise or soul expertise. That is something that some people call it my gift. So something that you would consider your gift, something natural to you, that you have a specific energetic, specific psychology, specific understanding about, and it's not anything you have learned. It is something that's innate to you, that's always been there and maybe got activated earlier on in life, maybe later on. It could be that you're awesome with people. Maybe people tell you secrets. Maybe it could be that people sometimes just call you and say, hey, can I just hang out with you because I always feel better around you? So it's not something necessarily that right away might feel very tangible. And what I do is I translate that soul expertise in application to one's profit potential, as in specific areas as to how you meant to make money, not what you think you could sell, but what actually energetically is meant to be the correct frequency for you. So then we combine those two things. We combine your soul expertise and the profit potential as in the area of focus, and we build an offer on that. Or if somebody already has an offer, we tweak that to match it more. And then from there, we figure out a frequency of who it is for. So this is sort of like niching in the energetics world. It's not just niching based on, well, let's make a list and like, okay, who is the type of person who needs this thing or the problem I solve? I mean, yes, this is common sense business and marketing, of course, but I take it way further into the energy of the person. So we're not speaking to somebody who's in a victim energy. We're not speaking to somebody who needs to be convinced. We're not speaking to somebody who's in the place of drama and trauma. We're speaking to a specific frequency of a person that's matching all the criteria, but energetically we are vibrating to match that person. And then we imbued our marketing and materials that we have in the business, everything with that frequency. So that is the expertise of who you are. That's your natural gift, of course, plus the skills of whatever you have learned, then applied onto your profit potential. So what is the area in which you're meant to do it, which then very sort of frequency-wise, very practically apply to your body, to how you speak, to the type of words you use. Like, somebody's marketing may be more sexy, somebody else's marketing might be more, truth-telling kind of a thing, or somebody else might be more cause-oriented, another person might be more soft and cuddling. So we kind of look at those flavors in addition to just basic bare-bones marketing. And then putting those things together, we also work with quantum creation, which is utilizing the quantum field and understanding what you are trying to create, which is, by the way, also in one person's soul design and their genetics encoded already, so that we see what's the highest vision here. So we replace goal setting with vision. And now, instead of just like, okay, I need to have 20 clients or I need to sell this program this way, we go into what's the bigger picture here and why are we doing it? When all of this is aligned, then the marketing, the presentation, the promotion of it, the sales of whatever the offer is, everything becomes very streamlined and congruent and feels in integrity and mainly feels natural. Most of my clients say that I felt before like I was working in my business, and now my business is working for me. Now I'm actually just like living my life and I'm just being me, I'm showing up. And yes, there's of course a little bit of strategy when you're doing marketing presentations, but mostly it still feels like I'm just being myself and speaking. The same thing with sales. A lot of times when people get scared about maybe selling a higher level offer, and I generally work with offers of 10,000 and above. So 5,000, it's kind of like the low offer in my world. So, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 offers, anything of this size, there's a very different sales structure. So when somebody is used to selling maybe, $200 appointments or $500 appointments, maybe they have a course for $1,000, and then they decide, okay, I want to go into high ticket marketing and start, selling a $5,000 or $10,000 program. They apply the skills they have from the lower level marketing onto that, thinking it's going to work, which of course it's not, because frequency wise, the people who would purchase a $10,000 program would be a very different person than somebody who would pay $100 for an appointment. So that's also what we adjust, is we upgrade. Like I upgrade all my clients, or they upgrade themselves through this process, we can say, onto the premium level of themselves. So by living your soul design, you essentially living the highest version of yourself. So it's a personal transformation as much as business work, because in my world, understanding business and whatever it is that you're in a personal journey shouldn't necessarily be separate. We are affecting our business. It is sort of separate as to legal entities, but energetically, our energy is feeding our business, and we want to shift it that the business also feeds us. And that harmonious flow, so to finish up what I was saying with sales, changes how we show up, including in sales. So the example I was giving, if somebody is, let's say, used to selling only lower level offers and now trying to sell higher ticket offer, a lot of times there's fear. There's like, okay, I understand, like I have some script for sales conversation, but it's all scary and it doesn't work. And after, one call, next call, and it's like, oh, no. And it's like, okay, that's because energetically you're in a completely incorrect frequency. So that's part of expanding wealth container and many other things that I do with my clients to help them shift the frequency, in addition to actual business strategy and adjusting what they're saying to match them. And the result is that pretty much every client I have that's been utilizing this way of sort of heart-centered sales that's based on their soul design, they feel like they're not selling. They feel like they're making sales, like people are signing up, but they just kind of having a conversation with an awesome person, and they feel intuitively, is this aligned or is it not? And if it is, then let's see what happens. And it's done very strategically. So there are actually very specific things to do, but in the end, it creates the result of actual sales. Like so many of my clients who came to me with just selling, $200 appointments, then within 2, 3, 4 months of working with me, already selling a $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 program. That's because it's not some magic thing. It's like literally you already have all this information within yourself. And it's just sometimes hard to find that inner core place. And without somebody pointing certain things that are off, quite often we just mistake them for us when they're actually not us. There's something else that needs to be cleared in order for us to step into the next level.
Absolutely, makes so much sense. I mean, I don't know how often I've had a client or potential client that I didn't feel aligned to, and doing work for them just felt like a big chore. Where other clients I've had, I've actually loved doing stuff for them, and quite often give more than what I was paid for, because, I just feel that there's some, I don't know, magic happening between us, and they're the clients obviously that you want to keep on, and I guess to find that magic formula, so to speak, that you can attract more of those clients that you really want to work with, and that you sometimes end up being friends at the end of it, and it's a wonderful experience, and it feels really good to work with those clients. But as I said, there's just ones that it's the sound of their voice or just their attitude or whatever makes you want to cringe and not do the work, because it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't make you feel anything at all. It just makes you feel icky.
And this is part of like what I teach my clients, is to not sign clients like that. So to recognize certain signs, and the more and more the marketing is adjusted to how we sort of implement components of their natural flavor into the words, into the energy and how they speak, they literally stop attracting the people that you're describing that are kind of crunchy to work with. So energetically, we literally look at like, okay, what is the ideal client? What is not ideal client? And then instead of like, okay, what do you do if you get a non-ideal client? We'll look into what can we say to repel a non-ideal client. So we go actually further than just like, okay, well, this person doesn't fit or I don't like them, so I'm not going to sign them. We go into what do I need to do? How do I need to show up? Sometimes it's literally how do I need to breathe in my video, or how do I need to structure what I'm saying? Do I need to use my hands or not use my hands? Do I need to use these words in my sales page or not, in order to attract the correct people and literally repel the incorrect ones? This is when every sales conversation becomes pretty joyful, because you generally speaking with people that are fitting into what you would like. Some might be absolutely awesome. Some might be awesome, but maybe not quite ready. Some might be in, maybe not a little bit. And those are the ones when we look at what needs to be adjusted to not attract them. But generally, it's very rare when somebody attracts people they don't want to work with, because that means something is incorrect in the marketing usually.
Yeah. And traditional marketing is all about, finding your avatar and your ideal client, and using words that they use, and all that. It just seems like too much hard work.
Well, it's not just too much hard work, it's an incorrect work. I mean, business can be hard work at times, and anybody who's afraid of hard work shouldn't be really starting a business, because business is work. But when you have work that's applied correctly, you feel like, okay, kind of like, short distance, you can run fast if you have to, right? So the same thing in business, like if you really needed to work on this for 2 hours, you can work on this for 2 hours. And yes, it could be maybe difficult if you're learning something, but in my view, energy should be used very efficiently. So let's say in understanding what you're doing in business, most people go too far into the masculine direction, which is the traditional business and marketing strategies. They're all very masculine, and because of it, they're very cookie cutter, and they all designed for the lower level market. The feminine business strategies and feminine marketing is designed for premium level markets, so high ticket sales, high ticket offers. And it is not rigid and cookie cutter. It's actually customized and unique. So some of the basic strategies, of course, are needed. They are proven to work, and there's a reason for it. But they're not always needed for every single person. So like I have in my own expertise of 20 years here, like such a huge library of what's possible to do in business and every possible strategy you can think of for scaling the business and whatever. So I know the business side, I know the marketing side. But when somebody comes to me, I'm not going to tell them like, okay, here's those 20 things and you're going to do all of them. We're going to look at their design, and we're going to look at what is the specific thing that would be the type of life that this person wants. And then from there, what strategy would fit that life. Some people want to only have 5 clients and make, multiple 6 figures. That's possible, but now the offer has to be much higher. So then we're asking from the standpoint like, okay, do you have the expertise and desire to spend long-term, with somebody and go that deep that it's actually worth this amount of money? If the person says yes, great, now let's design that. Somebody else might want larger group program. I have some clients who don't want groups at all. They only want to do private. I have some clients who have tiers. So then they have like hire something, and then they have kind of a lower level tier that's, lesser income bringer, but at the same time, they are not as involved in it, and so on. So there are different strategies, and proven strategies work, but they work differently for different people. And if you don't know what is your natural way, it wouldn't work. Like, for example, I had a client who was very intent on making lists and setting goals. And when I looked at her design, it became apparent that that's kind of not necessarily the way she needs to do it. But she was taught to do it this way, and she was feeling so stressed, overwhelmed, and kind of beating up on herself for every time something didn't work out and feeling disappointment. And she came to me with this like, okay, I'm doing everything, I'm doing so much, and I'm working so hard. Why is it not scaling? Like, I'm stuck at 200,000 a year and I can't seem to make it even to 250. So one of the main things was like, well, okay, you're already at the max energetically. Why would universe give you more? So we need to take something out. And that something was not actually whatever she was doing with her clients. It was the amount of energy she was wasting on worrying and goal setting. So in her design, the goal setting did not look like what she was doing. It looked actually more like having a vision and then allowing creativity to come through. And her creativity also had a pulse, which means sometimes the energy shows up and then she could like move a mountain in a day or two. And then energy doesn't show up. And then for 2 days, she could like lay in bed and nothing happens. She was thinking she's being lazy. Yeah, she was thinking she's being lazy. She was thinking there's something wrong with her because, I'm not like, being productive, or I'm not responsible and I am procrastinating. And it's like, no, that's actually your natural rhythm. So to have somebody like me from the outside kind of reflect that to the person, there's always such a huge relief. Like, oh my God, it's like a permission. I actually get to do that. And it's like, yes, that's how you accomplish what you want. So yes, we need to still figure out a little bit onto where you're going. We need to make sure that when you do have those moments of active energy, you know what to put it on so you don't waste it just kind of being busy putting around your house. So there's definitely some strategizing, but not at all the way she was doing it. Another example, I had a client who was trying to be creative, and she was doing all these, I'm going to draw, and then I'm going to do the puzzle, and then I'm going to do the vision board, and nothing was happening. Again, nothing. I mean, she's at 500,000, so this is not nothing. But she wanted to scale. She wanted to birth the next level program, and nothing was happening. And she was thinking it would be a group program. And so when we started working together, one of the things I said that, okay, in your design is 1 foot in front of the other. This is your design. You literally have to just do something every day, even if it's just 2 hours a day, but 2 hours every single day. And as long as you do that, magic will happen. And she's like, but this is like, you're telling me I'm not creative. It's like, no. Your creativity comes by consistency. So she was kind of not sure about that. But when she applied it, she couldn't believe how many ideas showed up, how much stuff actually got done. And we also figured out that instead of the group program she was thinking to create that wasn't happening, she actually needed to create a higher level tier that's one-on-one, that's add-on to what she already had, that cleared so much space in her life and actually brought more income with ease without her doing anything. She was talking about the same thing, and suddenly people were signing it at the higher tier. So these little examples, this is something that we don't think about. And usually when somebody's at, 40,000, 50,000 yearly income or 60,000, this is all where you do have to try a lot of strategies, because you do need to understand what works. When you do need to sometimes do what you don't like, just because, this is how business is, without any work, you're not going to get to that next level. But once you close to 6 figures, that's where you really need to start looking at, okay, how do I make it sustainable? Like the trial period is over. Now it's like, okay, you know what you're doing. You understand you're good at it. How do you apply it in your life and your business in a way that you can actually keep going instead of burn out as soon as you get to six figures? It's like, okay, great, I got here, boom, gone. And that's unfortunately what happens to so many women, is that they have this goal as a proving themselves to get to this 100K. They get there and then they don't want to do anything. And they start to feel like, oh, I'm depressed, or nothing's working, or why can't I fill this program again when I did it just fine 3 months ago? And that's because energetically, if you do not have space, because it's filled with something that shouldn't be there, universe will not give you more. So part of understanding your soul design is understanding what should be in your space and what should not be, like shedding the layers.
Yeah. Yes, everything's energy. It doesn't matter what it is. And if you're not vibrating at the correct rate, then the universe won't give you whatever it is that you need. So
exactly. And part of it is also expanding the wealth container. So that's like your capacity to receive, because in the masculine sense, the business is all about what can I get. And I personally don't subscribe to that. To me, business is much more like a service. So service in the higher sense, like spiritual service, like how can I serve this planet, humanity, expand human collective understanding of reality, including my clients, and at the same time, yes, help them generate more income doing what they love. So I teach my clients as well that shift from this, how do I get, and then the freak out about it's not happening and that means something bad about me, like I'm not good enough, into how can I serve? And then from that place, what is it in me that I can open up? How can I choose to receive more? Sometimes women, especially, they say like, well, okay, 6 figures, like that's awesome. I pay my bills. I give some money to my child or whatever. And after that, like, I don't really need more. And it's like, yeah, but that's actually you putting a cap on how you can serve, because you don't necessarily know what could come through you. And universe is such a place that when you have a specific frequency that is needed, you are going to be utilized as long as you show up and do your part. So bringing through millions and millions and millions of dollars through you doesn't mean you have to keep it all. I mean, we women, we don't want gold-plated planes or toilets, right? I mean, we just share it with community. We contribute it to something else. We don't think like, oh, it's for me. I want it for, feeling powerful. It's understanding that you're already powerful. It's understanding that you're already enough. It's understanding that your capacity comes from the universal energy, not from your ego. And from that place, working to bring in through interaction with the universe. So the wealth energetics is literally wealth coming to you and you becoming a conduit. And then you direct it where it goes. Maybe you'll buy part of Amazon rainforest to protect it. Maybe you do something with the oceans. Maybe you invest in a local company in your town and help them out. I mean, there's so many different ways how this could go, and many women do use it that way. So we naturally contribute to communities, and the world becomes a more harmonious place because women naturally network. It's just for so long we've been told that we can't have wealth. Somehow men can, but women can't. And I don't mean to make it so much about men and women. Obviously, there's some awesome men and there's some awesome women that are very powerful. But in general, on a human collective level, we have been living in a patriarchal age. Not to say we're moving into matriarchal. No, we're moving into the age where both things are kind of harmoniously balanced. When you can have inner feminine and inner masculine, just like every man needs to develop inner feminine side and still be a man, the same thing every woman needs to do that. And of course, whatever the personality believes themselves to be, that's variations of it. So in business, if we utilize that same concept, the masculine would be electric. Electric energy is like an electricity in a wire. It goes directional. It says, okay, from here, I want to get to here to here. So that would be your strategy. That would be your goal setting. That would be step by step. That would be all the automations and CRMs and like all that stuff that meant to support your business, the strategy behind your launch, like all these things, or onboarding strategy for your client, or structure of the sales conversation. That's all masculine business strategy that's necessary. But without going too far with it, then we bring the feminine side. And that would be utilizing quantum creation. That would be your intuition. That would be tuning into what's possible. That would be embodying the vision. That would be working with the energy in your body. So when you are writing email to promote, let's say, your offer, you are in the right energy, not just using the right words. When you are presenting somewhere, you are in your body in the correct way, not kind of like all dressed up, but internally calculating, what should I say next? Or did I mention this? Did I say this perfectly? I need to memorize this phrase. This is like the worst thing that we can do for our business, is to try to do it in that masculine way. And I find that a lot of people try to do this, especially women, when they don't understand that they actually have permission to be themselves. You can be in the right energy and totally mess up in a video, not say the right things, and still sign a client. Mm-hmm. But you can have a perfect video with a teleprompter and everything, absolutely like perfect lighting, perfect hair, perfect words, and nobody comes because the energy is dead. So not to say that we shouldn't have correct words. Of course, we should clearly articulate the value of our work. But it's very important to be in the correct energetics doing it.
Absolutely. Yes. Energy is everything. I've got a friend of mine who, when we Zoom each other, she says, Rose, your energy is not good today. Okay, what can I do to help, to bring that out? And so she's always there pushing me along to say, lift your vibration, Rose.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the main things that I teach my clients is the mastery of your own energy. Because like, I don't want them to be dependent on me. I don't want them to be dependent on somebody else, or even some meditation they listen to uplift their energy or something. Uplifting energy is actually like a higher, more harmonious frequency. That's a side effect. That's not a goal. A lot of times in the current culture, that's because it's sort of kindergarten teaching. Like what I teach is like a PhD level of it. But the kindergarten teaching is like, oh, energy is good and everybody should be positive all the time. No, actually, if you don't face your shadow, nothing good would happen. So sometimes being negative is actually a good thing. It's just you don't want to live there and you don't want to attach that to your identity. Same thing with uplifting or raising your frequency. It's not the goal in itself to sit there and focus on, okay, how do I raise my frequency? Because it's much more about within yourself, what is causing the lower frequency and what do you need to shift? And then as a side effect, naturally, the frequency is higher. So if somebody comes in and let's say they kind of gloomy, so their energy is lower, we would look at, okay, what happened? But usually, and especially the way I teach my clients, they can pinpoint pretty quickly. It would be like, oh, well, I was scrolling through Facebook and this person's post came up and I compared myself. And I thought, oh, damn, she's so articulate and I'm like so not, or how can somebody write this well and I'm not? Now, her marketing is just fine. But in that moment, she was a tiny little girl who was terrified and comparing herself. So there's some past trauma that's overlaid onto this stupid little scrolling on a Facebook and seeing a post. Then her energy went down. So it's not about, oh, let me fix my energy. It's about, okay, how can I heal the part of me that compared and then made myself small? So usually we would flip it into, okay, we wish that person something really good. So it's like, wow, I'm so happy about how amazing your writing is. Like, I'm proud of you, whoever that post was from. And then from that point, go on to yourself. And I'm so precious and great, and I'm doing so well. And I'm going to own sort of my greatness right now. So you kind of counterweight that. And there are different techniques depending on what the issue is. As she does that, literally the energy frequency shifts. So then she's like, oh, I'm actually feeling kind of happy. It's like, yeah, that's because you matched much more of self-love or self-acceptance or compassion or joy or any kind of higher frequency versus, let's say, comparison and unworthiness. So every time when you hear people say this thing about like, oh, I need to always be positive and raise my frequency, it's side effect. So when you look at somebody like me, I generally am very positive and I generally am on a very high frequency, but not because I try to be. It's because a lot of the internal issues are resolved. It's because I'm not living and acting from my shadow. That's because I'm not reacting to life. And that's exactly what I teach my clients. And it's kind of funny because it's a business program. I mean, all the stuff I do is business. But when they leave, they always say like, oh my God, this was like the biggest transformational program I've ever done. Like this is huge for who I am now. I don't even see myself as what I was 4 months ago. I just had a client like that. She came in and she had like 10, 15 years of experience of being a coach, but she was working for someone else, not her own business. And she wanted to start her own, and she didn't even know like where to start. So we looked at her soul expertise, we look at who is it for, we look what frequency to be, and all these issues of, oh, I'm not good enough, or I can't do it, or who am I to, charge this, or all this came up. And it's like, wow, you have no problem doing it over there and selling really high ticket programs for this person. But for yourself, look at this. So we started to clean up all these layers. Her energy naturally shifted. And within 2 months, she signed her first $15,000 client. And she's like, oh my God, I can't even believe it, how easy it was. All I did is literally follow what you said. I just had conversation, mentioned the things you said, and make sure that I energetically align with this thing we were talking about. And there it was. He was like, great. So how do I pay you? He was just like, this is insane. But that's how it works when you are aligned. It's not magic, but it looks like magic. And people who do self-mastery work, and my version of this is that transcension method that I utilize with my clients, that's it's almost like you become a master within yourself. So you start living your life from a higher level. That's natural leadership. That's not fake leadership. We're like, yeah, follow me, I'm famous, or, I want more followers. That's actually more about being yourself energetically as the leader in a right frequency that then creates such amazing waves from you. You become like this vortex that generates energy that people are attracted to it. People like, oh my God, I want more of this. Like, what is she doing to be like this? I want to be around her.
She's been eating, what's she been drinking? My God, I want to be like that.
Yeah, and a lot of it is actually joy. But that joy is not something that happens from some artificial, inner positive talk.
No, it doesn't. Joy's got to come naturally. Feelings are natural.
Joy comes when you get out of your own way. Yeah, that's where joy comes. We mess up our own joy all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Eugenia, you've got a couple of offers that you'd like to share with our audience today.
I can talk about 2 of them a little bit just to kind of give your audience an understanding. So one of them is, like, we've been talking about soul design a lot and understanding what it is and how it works. So this is a VIP day that I do for people who want to dive in deeply to their soul design. So 5 hours of just like me decoding you. So you can ignite your purpose and shortcut the manifestation of your vision and have this wealth come into your life correctly. So in that VIP day, we look at like your life purpose, what you're meant to do, how you're meant to do it, what's your impact on the profit potential that I have mentioned as well, and life cycles, like why is something happening now this way when it used to happen differently before. Sometimes people run into that, like, oh, I did this before for like 5 years, it worked just fine, and now it's not working. What am I doing wrong? I'm doing the same thing. Oh, it must be the market change or algorithm or something. When a lot of it is energetically, you're in a different cycle. So we look at the cycles, we look at what energy is opening up in you, what energy needs to be cleared out so you understand that, and also at what is your leadership and personal transformation that's encoded in your DNA. So those are the components of sort of how you meant to show up to the world and what are you learning this lifetime. All of this, of course, put together onto the business. And if somebody wants to work with me further, then I have a program to guide them into that. And so this is Soul Design VIP Day. And you'll have the link for that in the show notes. And another one is a free gift that anybody can study and understand a little more if you want to learn more about this not burning out thing I was talking about. So this is for people who are somewhere around 6 figures. Maybe they're aspiring to even like start a business and go into it. That will explain how to do correctly. Or maybe you already have a business and you're at the place where you're kind of teetering around the 6 figures and it's hard and you're not sure why you're so tired or why certain things not working. Or maybe you were looking to scale into the higher premium offer kind of direction, high ticket, and you're not sure how, and maybe not sure if you can do it. So that webinar is how coaches get sustainable 10K months from doing what they love, their soul work, and find high ticket clients who are able to pay them $5,000 and more. So this is like a new model of coaching where we look at a different way of showing up. And I give tons of examples of what I've been doing, what my clients been doing. You can see some of the results they've been having, which are incredible. This is the model that does not require endless course launches or huge email lists. This is where you understand how to attract high ticket clients by speaking from your soul expertise that I've been talking about today. Even if you don't consider yourself a high ticket coach yet, it's okay, because it's actually a learned skill. A lot of it is more about owning who you are and then deciding if this is the direction for you. And if it is, I can definitely help you to create that type of a business. So why some masculine strategies, like we were looking today, this cookie cutter kind of a rigid systems, why they didn't work for you. Like a lot of times that's what I hear is like, well, I tried this and I got this course for, $200 or $500 and I've applied this perfectly and nothing happened. That's because there's certain patterns there that you are not aware of that actually exist for what you're trying to do, and you're not matching them yet. So this webinar will show you what system you actually need in order to get paid well from doing your soul work. So this one is soulstrategywebinar.com. And my main website is transcensiongate.com. This is where you can get all the other information about everything I said today. And there's lots of free videos on my YouTube channel.
Oh, Eugenia, thank you so much for sharing all that wonderful wisdom with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to absorb some of your positive energy. It's been absolutely wonderful. Just quietly, I just wanted to discuss your 3 books quickly, if I could. Can you just tell me what they are, what the titles are, and where people can buy them?
Yeah, all 3 books are on Amazon, so you can do that. Or if you're on my website, transcensiongate.com, click on books on a menu and you will see them. So my first book is The Mission Alpha, The Wise and Passionate You. This is the manual for understanding your energy. So if you're serious about understanding your chakra system, your levels, understanding why you feel sad or upset or how to adjust it and all of that, even if you don't necessarily see energy or anything, but you're just really curious and you really want to study that, that would be a great book. It is a serious book though, so it's not kind of a page turner. It's something when you really need to study. This is the manual that I used for my school that I had when we were teaching energetics. So if you're interested, this is definitely as thorough as there are about how to understand your energy. Another book is Awakening the Harmony Within. How to create with spirit. So this kind of takes it to the next level about the larger concepts and then application of it. So this is your relationship with source. This is about how you can relate and then co-create and manifest what you're looking forward to creating, how to step into that inner harmony, and techniques that you can use at home to start that practice. This is a standalone book, so it's not necessarily that it has to come after the first one. This one is written for people who might not understand all the stuff in the first one with all the chakras and levels and energetic specific alignments, but it speaks in a larger concept and gives you very clear understanding of what you can do to unite and interact with the universe, so you don't feel alone, that you actually feel like you can make something happen in your life. And my third book, one of my favorites, is The Secret of Sekhmet, Why Akhenaten Challenged the Gods of Egypt. This one is a historical mystery novel. So it's an adventure story and it's written in a novel format. It has lots of mystery school wisdom in there. It's written from my own memory of the past life I had in Egypt. It is historically correct. It utilizes the characters of the time of Akhenaten, so all the court people at that time, and you get to sort of play with that whole story, and it is a page turner. This one is you will not be able to put it down if you're into ancient Egypt. This is a really fun adventure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing those with us. And if you want to find any of Eugenia's books, go to Amazon and you'll find them all there. Eugenia, again, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with me today. And I will talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me here, Rose.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. talking with the experts.